a beautiful day. Da, 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 da. Yes? Ah! Zombies! Zombie apocalypse! Zombie apocalypse! Now I'm ready.
Base.
This is my boomstick!
They are such an overabused, milked-out concept that even spoofing over it feels like an overabused, milked-out cliché. Or complaining about it like I'm doing right now.
I get it! We hate each other! And killing the flesh-eating things is a cathartic outlet. Now will you please move on to the next gimmick? Gah! So let's review a zombie comic.
Zombie Outlaw is a new series written by Brian Apodaca and illustrated by B. Paul Jordan.
I was contacted by Mr. Apodaca himself, who requested me to review his works. So he sent me the first 2 issues, all the way from the USA. This is the part when I show how flattered I am. Irvine, 1872, where it all began. Present day, Irvine State University, home of the ISU Outlaws. Am I missing a few panels here?
Already we run into a huge problem on the very first page. The establishing scene, or lack thereof, feels random and poorly handled. It shows some picture of a zombie cowboy, the titular outlaw, killing off other undead fiends, only to immediately transition to a present-day setting the very next panel without properly creating a context for it. It's the kind of rushed execution that pulls a reader out of the story before even having the chance to be invested in it. Beginning a comic with a random, isolated illustration without any form of establishing setting, and following it with a completely different scenario only serves to create confusion and annoyance. Imagine if all your favorite stories started off like this.
The world is changed. I feel it in the water. I feel it in the earth. I smell it in the air. Much that once was is lost, for none now live who remember it.
What time is it?
Adventure time!
I'm in lesbians with you.
What?
I really, really mean it.
Oh, okay.
It's a beautiful day. Da, 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 da.
Your time is nigh, my nemesis, for you shall meet your end at the all-powerful hands of the mighty Dark Fairy, the all-powerful ruler of the universe!
Speaking of elements that don't work, the artwork. Where do I begin with the artwork? On one hand, it seems the artist's intent was to develop a whole new aesthetical brand of visual characterization in order to grant a unique and original vibe to the opus, much like in Adventure Time. On the other hand, it tried way too hard to be unique and went overboard with it, while still looking simplistic and rushed, like Adventure Time. The result is a design so disturbingly creepy and ugly it becomes a distraction. Utterly grotesque bodies performing widely unnecessary motions and curving in unnatural ways, Popeye the Sailor's forearms, four-fingered hands that are way too large, and those soulless, lifeless, demonic eyes that are staring at me. Ugh! It really says something when your protagonists look far scarier than the zombies they're supposed to fight against.
As such, it's especially difficult for the reader to get invested in these characters. Not that the story makes it any easier, that is.
Matt Naismith is the comic's appointed geek. Seriously, it says so in the cover.
Thank you for pointing out your stereotypes for me, zombie comic. You're making my job so much easier.
He has a crush on Miss Steroid 2013. Ugh, this artwork. But he's too shy to be open with his feelings, so he employs the help of his roommate and forced upon best friend for life, Will Smears. Also known as that guy that always tells you how much he gets laid more times than you.
I hope something horrible happens to him.
Will is more interested in uncovering the dark secrets beneath the campus and more or less blatantly tricks his friend to go adventuring with him under the false promise of helping him score with Miss Steroid, or KT if you will. When Finn the doucheman gets too caught in his research for the legendary zombie Outlaw, Matt loses it. Sort of.
Ah, Matt, my boy, I found the key to my research. And the funny thing is, well, it requires a key. What about my key, man? The key to Kitty's art. Man, you promised me, man. She's back there holding her with that meathead Ted. Enough with the zombie stuff, man! I take it back. I take everything back. This is hilarious. Oh.
I mean, wow! It's a completely out of nowhere sudden burst of excessive overacted anger complemented by the artwork going totally bonkers. More than usual, that is. It's the kind of so bad it's great moment that would make Tommy Wiseau proud.
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
Too bad it doesn't last more than one panel, as Matt turns back into complacency immediately after. Again, the lack of proper transitions in between moments is detrimental to the comic's narrative. And speaking of detrimental things, the guys managed to steal the librarian's keys by having Dr. Love here providing a distraction by hitting on her, which actually works. As much as it baffles me, they access to the basement door with said keys. Right in front of her, I should add. They descend the stairs and come across the Outlaw's tomb. A conveniently torch-lit wooden door. So basically, the final resting place of a legendary figure hidden beneath your college can be easily accessed with by borrowing the librarian's keys to the torch-lit basement. And I am supposed to buy that these two dunderheads were the first ones to ever discover it, after a single afternoon of reading, no less. Even better, they fumble upon the body almost immediately after entering that vault, which I once again remind you could be accessed with the librarian's keys.
It might be handy if you, the master of unlocking, take it with you.
This feels less like an adventure and more like a guided tour into Disneyland's Haunted Mansion. It's a series of immensely contrived step-by-step plot points blatantly held together by sheer convenience, with no amount of effort whatsoever.
And I am sorry to say that because obviously the creators of this comic put a lot of effort in it. It says so at the beginning. See?
Well, okay, at least it cannot possibly get worse than that, especially since we are so close to the conclusion. In an extremely confusing scene, Will turns into the new zombie outlaw after being bitten by the original and starts spreading the overly predictable apocalypse.
This comic is not very good for different reasons.
Aside from the tired premise that's been beaten to the proverbial undeath, the idea of the zombie outlaw himself had potential, but due to a rushed execution, it ended up feeling like yet another gimmick to cause the zombie apocalypse in the first place. The story drags itself just as tiredly towards that very moment. Even if it didn't have these problems, the disturbingly unappealing nature of the artwork ends up being distracting more than immersing. To add insult to injury, the back cover shows the characters in a widely different, more realistic fashion that, while being extremely derivative and unoriginal, it might have suited the comic better.
Still, if you can't get enough of your zombie plague, then this comic won't blow you away. Then again, it's a self-published indie product, and therefore there are bound to be mistakes at first. It can still get better. And now I have to review the second issue. This is the part where I end my review on a cliffhanger. Enough with the zombie stuff, man! Couldn't have said it better myself.